Hello, everyone. We're open tonight for fun and so glad to see you here. Welcome. This is the Talk More Talk video cast where we talk mostly about the solo Beatles. Sometimes we talk about the Beatles as a group, depending on what's going on. And I'm joined by all my co hosts here, the friends. I'm going to start with the queen of all Beatles media, the Sun Queen for short, as I call her, Kit O'Toole. Hello, Kit. And she has her books out that you might want to be interested in picking up. First, we have Michael Jackson, FAQ, for you Michael Jackson fans. And then we have the other book that I am forgetting the title of right now, but I think it's, it's the
Songs we were singing.
Songs We Were Singing, guided tours through the Beatles' lesser-known tracks, which I actually have up there somewhere. You could recognize the spine. During the course of the show, you could try to find the spine and locate it. Okay,
we can make that a contest.
Right, that's right. Win a prize if you can find it. All right. Next up, we have Tom Hunyadi. Hello, Tom.
Hey, buddy.
He's one of the two co-hosts, along with co-host Andy Nichols. He does the Paul-centric podcast. It's video cast really now because you can see it as well as hear it, and that's Two Legs. So say hello to Tom.
How you doing,
and
Joe?
Finally, last but not least, as we usually say, we have Ken Michaels, a long-time veteran at radio. His syndicated shows Every Little Thing. He also has a nice podcast I enjoy listening to, and you will too, Things We Said Today. Ken, welcome.
Hey, Joe. Hey, guys. Hey, Beatle people.
And I didn't ask before the show how much news we had. I know we always have a lot, but I'm going to turn it over to Ken for the news. And let's see if we have a lot or a little and have time for our main topic. We're going to be talking about Ringo's 80th birthday.
Okay. I have plenty of news, but you guys can always cut me off anytime you want to. All right.
That's enough, Ken.
No, thank you.
That's enough.
Have you all had enough? Okay. Our first item, sometimes one picture we've never seen before can be a major story. And such was the case on Paul's birthday, June 18th, when a photo of George and Paul holding up acoustic guitars in the recording studio was posted by the Harrison family online. Based on their hairstyles, with Paul having the beard you used to seeing at the time with the McCartney album, and George's long hair parted in the middle with mustache and beard, it's reported to have been taken during the January 3rd, 1970 sessions for I Me Mine. And I think, Kit, you said online that Robert Rodriguez did some investigating on this, and it's supposed to be from that session?
Yes, yeah, he did some very elaborate research and even compared clothes, and I mean, he really went to town on it.
Wow.
And yeah, he said he thinks that is indeed from the I Me Mine session, and that has never been seen before.
Yeah, that's wonderful because that's such a unique last time get together. You know, it's the last time they worked on something really.
Yes, let's hope that's included in the Let It Be book.
Maybe it will be. You know, anytime we see a photo we've never seen before, it's newsworthy, you know. So yeah. On June the 20th, a charity concert was streamed online called Round Midnight Preserves. It featured the Preservation Hall Jazz Band with special guests that included Paul McCartney in an effort to raise money for the Preservation Hall Foundation and their musicians. All donations for the free stream were matched by Spotify. Paul performed at the very end of the broadcast and played trumpet and sang When the Saints Go Marching In with the jazz band. And also playing along and singing on the performance were Elvis Costello, Dave Matthews, Dave Grohl, and Irma Thomas. If you wish to make a donation, you could do so by going to, it's PRES for preservation, PRES, then Hall, HALL, foundation.org, or by texting preservation at 707070.
And
Did you guys see this?
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just going to say, I hope they're going to have it somewhere. They're going to show it again somewhere because it was really a really amazing special in addition to seeing Paul. The other performances were amazing too. Corinne Bailey Rae, Irma Thomas, as you mentioned, so many, Dave Matthews.
He was great.
Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. There were just so many. Alabama Shakes, they did an amazing job. So hopefully this will come out on DVD, Blu-ray, or be available on streaming somewhere. I hope, and if it is,
It was very interesting to see Paul on trumpet as a novelty because remember he started
Yeah.
out
Right.
on trumpet and then he couldn't sing, you know, at the same time. And it was a lot of fun seeing Paul try to hit that high note, Alice. It was for you honeymooners fans out there. It was a lot of fun. You know, not perfect, but it was. I had a good time watching it. I enjoyed it,
Me too.
and he got into a little rocking singing of when
Yeah.
the Saints were marching in too.
Right.
Which is
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was fun, and I'll tell you what, even though his trumpet playing wasn't, spectacular or anything like that, I give him credit for at least trying to do it,
Yeah.
and putting forth the effort. Who knows how much time he had to practice or whatnot, but hey, I salute him for trying.
Yeah. Well, Paul said that that song was one of the first songs he learned on the trumpet. Also, he did do like a scowling vocal,
Right.
which
Yeah, the vocal was
really
great.
yeah,
it
was
matched the
fun.
song so well.
Right.
yeah.
But like you were saying, Kit, all those other performers, the thing that was really fascinating to watch is that they all fitted so nicely with jazz musicians. You know,
Absolutely.
as the
And
backing.
I just wanted to make a point of saying that because when I watched it live on YouTube, I couldn't believe all the people who commented. Everybody was the whole night. Where's Paul? We want Paul. And I mean, of
Mm,
course, Paul was wonderful to see, but it was just so rude to the other performers. And so I
right.
just wanted to be sure and
There is-
mention that. Yes, Paul was wonderful, of course, but there were many other wonderful musicians that were there as well. So if you can, hopefully, as I said, it'll stream or somewhere, or it'll be available on DVD. Watch the other performances too. They were all terrific.
Yep. Here, here. Okay, more information about Beatles songs being used for charity. June 25th marked the 53rd anniversary of the Our World broadcast of the Beatles performing All I Need Is Love. To mark that occasion on the anniversary on YouTube is a new performance of the song done Zoom style. Everything is Zoom style now. With Alan Parsons, David Pack, Michael McDonald, Peter and Natalie Noon, and Justin Fox. The song's been recorded as a fundraiser for CADA, that's the Council for Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, helping thousands of people in the Santa Barbara area and surrounding areas. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can go to their website, which is cadasb.org. And you can check out all this on YouTube. This and also When the Saints Go Marching In, I'm pretty sure is on YouTube. And this Saturday, Miley Cyrus performed Help on the TV broadcast called Global Goal, Unite for Our Future. That's to benefit the Global Citizen platform. So all these Beatles songs being used for various charities. As Ringo Starr approaches his 80th birthday, he'll be holding another Peace and Love event, which he's been doing for several years now, July 7th at noon. All around the world, Ringo asks his fans to just say the words peace and love. And like always, there'll be a live stream. He hasn't said anything about it, but there always has been. So I would check his Facebook page for that. Ringo drums on a new song from singer, songwriter, and producer Beck Black. And the song is called Who's Gonna Save Rock and Roll? Now, Bruce Sugar, Ringo's co-producer for his most recent albums, co-produced and co-wrote the song with Beck Black. And it really sounds like an 80s missing persons type of song. And there's a new video for the song on YouTube. Ringo is there at the very beginning, slightly, and at the very end.
What's
Also
the name of that song, Ken?
It's called Who's Gonna Save Rock and Roll?
Okay.
Check that out.
Yeah. Also, the British singer, songwriter, and entertainer Dame Vera Lynn, whose songs lifted the spirits of troops home and abroad during World War II, has passed away. She is best known for the song We'll Meet Again, which you hear at the opening of the Beatles anthology, since it was a popular song at wartime, while covering the births of the Beatles in Liverpool in the documentary. And she also became the oldest living artist to top the UK charts when her album We'll Meet Again, the very best of Vera Lynn, took the Beatles' 2009 remasters out of the #1 position. At the time, Vera was 92. Paul McCartney made a statement on Twitter on Vera Lynn's passing. Dame Vera Lynn was a strong and inspiring lady who has done so much for Britain. I am so sad to hear of her passing, but at the same time, so glad to have met her and experienced firsthand her warm, fun-loving personality. Her voice will sing in my heart forever. Thanks, Vera, Paul. We should all be blessed to live such a long life. Vera Lynn was 103.
Wow.
God bless her. Julian Lennon fed us bits of information about him making new music again. On Twitter, he showed a mixing console with the words above it, back at it again, big time. Last few tracks slowly being finished up for what could be considered an album, but won't be released as such until after several singles and EPs first.
Wow.
Okay, love to hear anything new from Julian. Also, a new book is coming out in August. It's called George Harrison on George Harrison, Interviews and Encounters, Musicians in Their Own Words by Ashley Kahn. It's available for pre-order right now on Amazon.
Here comes another damn bookshelf.
Got to move to a bigger house, Tom.
Yeah. Kit.
Un-
Go ahead.
A new 5-part documentary on the solo career of Paul McCartney is now available to watch on YouTube. Looks very good. Even Denny Sywell online has praised it. I've actually seen 3 parts so far, and it's been excellent with lots of interviews with members of Wings, giving insight on what it was like to work with Paul and be part of the group. And you've watched all 5 of them, Tom?
Yeah, I'm actually on my second go around right now. We've been in contact with the creator, Breathless 345, which he's known as, and you know, he agreed to come on the show at first, but then backed out a little bit. But we are doing a Q&A, so you can maybe expect that next week sometime.
Okay,
So
very good.
just asking questions about the making of the project, and yeah, it's really cool. A lot of great interviews that I've never seen, and images that I've never seen before, and it's worth it just for that, really. So,
Yeah,
learned a lot.
interviews with people that you don't hear that much of, like Joe English is
Yeah.
in there.
Mhm.
So, you know, I found it really interesting when he was talking about his time with Wings that he said something that Denny Sywell has said about working with Paul, and that is that they were all involved with the mixing of their
Right.
music, you know, which Denny said about Wildlife and getting involved with the sequencing of songs, picking songs for Red Rose Speedway. Denny Sywell said that about Wings. So it was the same thing during Joe English's time. So every now and then you get people who think, oh, it's just Paul. It's Paul and a backing band. The other members were far more involved than we think, really.
Yeah,
It
true.
was much more collaborative. And so when you get other people in Wings saying the same thing,
Mhm.
that's verification for that. More news, don't forget the 1973 film, That'll Be the Day,
Yeah.
which is now going to be available on my website as a prize.
Oh, great.
Starring Ringo and David Essex, is due out on Ringo's birthday, July 7th. It's on DVD and Blu-ray. That's from the folks at Kino Lorber. The very same company, get another DVD out here,
Yeah.
is putting out Go Go Mania, also known as Pop Gear. This was a 1965 British music review film, and it featured appearances from the Beatles, Billy J. Kramer, Peter and Gordon, the Animals, Herman's Hermits, Spencer Davis Group, Matt Monro, and others. It's 70 minutes long, and it also includes an audio commentary from our good friend, musician and journalist, Jeff Slate.
Oh, nice.
Okay. And also entertainment journalist and author, Brian Reisman. You could also win that on my website, DVD or Blu-ray. They're both available. So on our last show, we did talk about the different configurations of Flaming Pie, but a few things that we didn't bring up. And this is also some new information because in the last few weeks, we've had 2 videos online
Yes.
that were restored that look absolutely beautiful. And from directors Jeff Wanfor and also Alistair Donald. And they look really stunning. Definitely check them out. You know, a lot of fun to watch. Any comments about those videos if you've seen them?
Yeah, I hope this is something that's going to keep continuing with these videos because, you know, we had these videos on, you know, on McCartney Years box set. Didn't look great. I mean, you can tell not a lot of work was put into them, but I'm glad to see that he's, you know, taking the time to put some work into these videos, just like he did last December with Wonderful Christmas Time.
Right.
So, you know, these videos look spectacular. Absolutely.
I love
Yeah,
seeing the ones with Paul in the studio, especially.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
singing in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah, and drumming.
Yep.
Drumming on Young Boy. A lot of
Yeah.
you know, camera work done focusing on Paul drumming in that one, which is
Right.
cool. And seeing Steve Miller too. Do
Right,
his,
and the fact
lead
that
guitar.
yeah, and then the fact that these two videos weren't included in that McCartney Years box set. So it's nice to finally have these in a you know, in a physical format that we can have at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kate,
and the
you-
restoration of those videos is just stunning. I mean, absolutely. I mean, particularly the World Tonight, the video that I remembered the most watching the first time it came out, the you know, more colorful World Tonight
Right.
video.
Uh-huh.
That was stunning. The way they remastered that. I mean, the colors were so vivid, and I admit I got a little, you know, choked up at the end when Linda appeared. I mean, you know,
Oh, yeah.
that was, yeah. I mean, I'd kind of forgotten that at the very end when
Yeah.
she appeared, and
Yep.
that just even more
It's
meaning
sad.
now.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see that. So yeah, it's just wonderful to see these videos in such beautiful condition.
Yeah. Also seeing Jeff Emmerich in the studio at the mixing board
Oh
with
yeah.
Oh
Paul
right,
Yeah.
is
yeah.
nice
Yeah.
too. It's pretty
Yep.
cool. Also, there was the home recording of Young Boy that came out, which was released on the EP for, Young Boy.
Right.
So it's really kind of short, a little bit more than 2 minutes, but it's really cool to listen to. Any thoughts about that?
No, again, it's really cool that he's finally, you know, adding these tracks to his archive sets, you know, getting, you know, the earlier demos, and then takes in the studio, and then the finished product, you know, which we all love, you know, the evolution of a song, which, you know, we've talked about 100 times on this show. You know, keep bringing them on. I hope he continues this trend of giving us these early takes for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about that. It applies to all music, really. And
Yeah.
even with the Beatles, when you hear, like in the Young Boy demo, there was a section there that he didn't use in the finished product, you know, the finished version. And the World Tonight, there was a rough mix of that, which I tell you, I'm in heaven listening to that. It's so cool because, you know, I don't think of the World Tonight as being a massively produced song, but when it's stripped down and the focus is more on the acoustic instruments, and you could tell Paul had a lot of work left to do on the lyrics.
Right.
He's making it up kind of as he goes along, you know, but he has some of the basic ideas. That stuff just really fascinates me.
And the home demo too of World Tonight, I mean, it sounds so different. I mean, almost a little darker than the final version. I mean, it's really interesting to hear. And as you said, when you hear the rough mix, yeah, you just think, wow, he needed to work on those lyrics. But but that's the fascinating part, right? I mean, you hear
Right.
it's a rough draft, and then that even Paul McCartney has to work on refining his lyrics, and
Right.
and as a writer, I really appreciate hearing that.
Absolutely. You
I
know,
wonder
it's
if he can see his lyrics though while he's singing them. I mean, how do you think his handwriting is, Kit?
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, it's, you know, if his handwriting is as bad as mine, that gives me even more hope.
Well, he's
Alright,
the only
well-
one that has to be able to read it, right?
Yeah, right,
You gotta be
exactly.
able to read your own handwriting.
That's all that counts, Joe. That's all that counts.
I'm with you, kid.
He's probably got it all memorized anyway.
Yep.
But that's all the news I got.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
All
thanks
right.
Can I
a
just
lot,
bring up
Ken.
one quick one real quick?
Sure.
Fans of Johnny Cash out there, there's a new box set out there. It is called the Mercury Years. This is his music from the years of 1986 to 1991. And why am I mentioning this? Because this music is been out of print, and it also includes his album Waters to the Wells of Home, which includes the song New Moon over Jamaica, which he did with which Paul McCartney co-wrote with Johnny Cash and
Tom T. Hall.
Tom T. Hall, thank you very much, Ken. And so now that album is back in print. However, it looks like it's just in the box set, so I think you can buy it individually yet. But that's on vinyl and CD now.
That's good to hear. I remember in the Ubu Jubu series, they played a version of New Moon over Jamaica, and it was more like reggae-ish.
Yeah, because I think that's where the song originated, was in Jamaica.
That would make sense now, wouldn't it?
Yes, would it?
Yeah.
Okay, Joe,
All right,
take it
folks.
away.
Okay. Well, first of all, Kid, I want to say I love your background for this show. Okay.
Had to do it.
We're a little early, but that's the way sometimes these shows work out timing wise, because on July the 7th, Ringo Starr, Sir Richard Starkey, right, will turn 80 years old. And that is some milestone, the first Beatle to turn 80. And I'm so excited at what I think, that I often do, about Ringo as a child, and how he was a sickly child. And how sometimes they said he wouldn't live to the morning. He used to say, he tells stories like that the doctor would say he'll be dead in the morning or something like that. And to think how far he's made it is really, really impressive to me. And also how he really cleaned up his act around 1988 and got sobered up and started eating real healthy, and he's an inspiration to us all. And someday I hope to follow that. I keep saying I'm going to follow Ringo's lead. Tomorrow's another day, right? No, but really, I just think that's incredible. You can see, we all look at him, and it's becoming a little bit of a joke in a way. But people say, "What, Ringo? How do you look so good? You look great, man." And he says, "Well, I eat a lot of kale and." I don't do this or that. I have a personal trainer. I think he said a couple of times, which I don't have that kind of loot, but
meditation.
Right.
So no, but it's just amazing to me to think about that. I don't know. Ringo, keep going. Go to 100, and that's what I'm hoping for. Well, anyway, what we thought we would do is talk about our favorite Ringo Starr albums, and we're going to each pick 3. Although, if time permits, we have a few, maybe other ones, maybe 4 or 5. And I thought we'd go around, and if we could, let's do it kind of backwards, maybe from like 3 to 2 to 1. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start with you, Ken Michaels. What is your number 3 favorite, if you can? And I know you're well versed in all of Ringo's albums. I was going to say, not to put Kit and Tom on the spot, but I didn't know if you were that Ringo centric, as far as familiar with all the albums. I didn't know. I know the Kit sometimes said that she has to brush up on a few here or there.
This show has forced me to do it, and I'm glad.
So let's see what we arrive at, and Ken, let's hand it over to you for this.
Well, it's easy for me to pick my top 2, but where number 3 comes in, I told you guys this before the show started, so it's going to make it very difficult for me, because I have 3 albums that are all tied. But if I have to go by Tom's rules, you got to pick one.
You gotta pick one. That's my rules too.
I will just pick one, even though the other 2 are equal. Okay, that's just the way it is. I'm going to go with Vertical Man. Okay. Really, I think that the work that Mark Hudson did with Ringo for Vertical Man, Ringo-Rama, and Choose Love are 3 of his strongest albums. I think that for someone like myself, the songs always come first, more so than the production. But Mark is a great producer too. And the collaboration between Ringo and Mark and the other Roundheads, namely Steve Dudas and Gary Burr, they're such really skilled songwriters. And all the songs are just strong. I mean, that's what matters the most to me. The only problem I've ever had with Mark Hudson is that sometimes I think he feels that Ringo was a Beatle, he should scream it. And a lot of the songs that he produced with Ringo, maybe, he tries too hard to make it sound like a Beatles album or a Beatles song. But if you're only caring about the songs alone and nothing else, this album is packed with so much great stuff. I mean, What in the World is one of my favorite Ringo songs. There's
Yeah.
a slide guitar part in there from Joe Walsh, which sounds very much like George Harrison, but it's so much a song that could have worked on a Beatles album. It has a very Beatle-y sound to it. King of Broken Hearts is another one. George Harrison's on it. You love his slide guitar work. Great melodies, well structured. I love the title track to Vertical Man. I like all the songs. I can't go through every single song here because we only have so much time. But Vertical Man is another song. You can just tell from the way that the songs are written, the melodies, the chord progressions. Mark Hudson is a student of the Beatles. And so many of the songs that he writes could work as a Beatles song. So,
And
many
you got
of the
to
songs
interview him before, right, Ken?
yeah, I did. It was mainly to talk about the Christmas album
Okay.
that he did, because I just think that was an outstanding release. Half original, half traditional songs.
Right.
And the songs that Mark wrote with Ringo for that, like Christmas Eve, is wonderful. I Want to Be Santa Claus.
Right.
Whatever work Mark Hudson has done with Ringo, I really think is outstanding. But I also feel like, and this is coming almost like I'm hypocritical saying this, because I don't always feel that the group is better than the solo, but I know that Ringo really loved working with this band. And especially around the time of Choose Love, he talked about that. He loved being with the same musicians, working in the same room, in a small room with everybody sweating, and just the collaboration of having the same people when they get to be a really tight unit. And it was building and building, I think, with the Roundheads, even though they had a lot of guest stars on the albums too.
Right.
But so many outstanding songs. I love La Di Da on this
I
album.
love that as a single. I really, if it had been released years earlier, like so many of these singles from Ringo
Oh, yeah.
and Paul, it would have been bigger hits, hits. Period.
Definitely,
really fun song.
Very catchy.
Drift Away, I like the version of that, and mixing that with Tom Petty, with his vocal, Alanis Morissette, a little
Yeah.
bit of Steven Tyler at the very end. It's a pretty good cover, kind of appropriate since he sings "Give Me the Beat Boys," and
Yeah,
that would
fits
be,
Ringo.
it's tailor made for Ringo. Without Understanding has a real Indian feel to it with sitars in it. Really love that. I'll Be Fine Anywhere. George Harrison's on that. It's a very free form kind of a song. Puppet is very different for him, but all the songs really are strong. You'll hear me use the word solid, song per song. And when the material chosen is this strong on an album, that's what wins me over. When you have an album where I really feel there isn't a dud. And Vertical Man and really Ringo Rama and Choose Love, I feel the same way about. So that would be the album I would put in for number 3. Although, like I said, the other 2 with Mark Hudson could easily be number 3. So if I have to pick one, I'll pick
Good
that.
job.
And you did a show, right, Ken, where you were comparing the career of Ringo with Mark Hudson or without, like the different
Yeah.
periods, right?
Mhm.
And for me, I mean, I think Mark Hudson was a really good shot in the arm, should we say, for Ringo at the time. For me, after a while, I didn't mind the change. So I thought they started to sound very samey,
Right.
the albums.
Yeah.
So, but it was almost too much of a good thing, I guess, for me. But I appreciated Mark Hudson teaming up with Ringo at the time.
Yeah, the only way it could have worked had they continued is if somehow stylistically the music changed a bit. It was getting to be somewhat formatted, but as strong a format as you can get,
Right.
on those 3 albums. So yeah, like I said, it's too much of a Beatles sound sometimes, just
Yeah,
from
what he was going
the,
for, yeah.
melodically, the instrumentation that the band members used, the model guitars that had a Beatle-y sound, and they were striving for it, and it worked. And it works with Ringo on these songs.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you ever wanted Ringo to sound like a Beatle with Beatle songs, those three albums are, amongst the strongest that's out there.
Okay. All right. Next, let's go to Tom. Tom, what's your number 3 Ringo
Well,
album?
thank you. Well, I'm gonna cheat just a touch, and I'm going to do my 3 that I'm listening to the most right now. So as of right now, these are my favorites. Okay, because as next week it could be different. I mean, it's always
Yes,
the stuff always changes. But as of right now, what's my name is I really think this was a great effort, and if it is indeed his last album, then he went out on such a high, no pun intended, but it's really good stuff. Everything on here, I'm still trying to get used to Money, his version of Money. It still might take a little time, but got to get up to get down. It's not love that you want. The girl old with me. Magic and Better Days, Life is Good. I'm still really, in the title track, I'm still really enjoying this record and all the musicianship that's on this record. The songs are, like Ken said, using that word solid or strong, all these songs are and I know he gets flack for using a lot of help, or you can always say it's, with a little help from his friends. And I think sometimes
Ringo.
that might be, yeah, exactly. Sometimes that's his, he gets knocked down for that. But yeah, I mean, it's such a strong record that if this is indeed his last record, I say great, because he went out on a great record. So, but all the songs on here, I think, deserve a listen. If you haven't checked this out, go back. We reviewed this album when it came out. Was it last year? Is it already almost a year old?
October, I think, maybe.
Yeah, something like that. So it's heading
Something
for
like
a year
that.
old.
Yeah,
and
we did a
Yeah.
show on it.
Yeah.
I like the album.
I
so.
Yeah,
go ahead.
that was a real surprise to me. I
Mhm.
really, was so surprised that, I mean, he just sounded so invigorated on
Mhm.
that album. I really enjoyed it as well. I
It's
thought
like
that
he
was
sounds like he knows these are good songs, so he sounds excited about performing on these
exactly,
songs.
exactly.
So
And one of the many things that this damn virus has ruined this year is I would have loved to have heard him do a lot of those songs live, because
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I remember thinking that as I was listening to that album. I'm like, that'd sound great live. That'd sound great live. And
Yeah.
I was supposed to see him June 5th, but
yeah,
supposedly going to wait
We
till
all-
June of next year now. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
yeah.
Well,
Okay, so
if he has the same band, which he will, and Colin Hay,
Yeah.
Sure.
wrote "What's My Name."
Yep.
Mhm.
I can't see how they can't do that. But then again,
Exactly.
that's a natural. That's a natural.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Kit, and you, what is your choice for the 3rd favorite Ringo album?
Well, this choice surprises even me. Um, I was not prepared to like this album as much as I did. Sentimental Journey. I
Hmm.
really enjoyed this when we did this just a couple months ago. This album. I admit I went into it initially from a very snooty perspective, thinking, oh, really Ringo trying the well, in some cases Great American Songbook, and in other cases and I thought, come on, he's really going to try to tackle Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, Tony Bennett, that kind of genre, really. Well, I mean, yes, he is not giving any of them a run for their money vocally, but this album just charmed me so much. It really kind of casts a spell on you. First of all, I love the reason he did it. That it was, sort of a tribute to his family. That he polled his mother and stepfather and his relatives as to what kind of songs they would like to hear him do. I mean, I just thought that was just a wonderful reason to begin with, to do the album. And and then he was smart enough to reach out to different arrangers. And I mean, what arrangers? George Martin, Quincy Jones, so many. Klaus Vorman, who did some wonderful arrangement on this. I mean, just some top people.
Elmer Bernstein.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and they did some just gorgeous, gorgeous arrangements for him.
One of the Bee Gees too, right? One of the Gibb.
Maurice
Yeah,
Gibb.
was Robin Gibb, I think.
Robin,
No,
no,
Maurice.
Oh, no,
Maurice.
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 Yes, excuse me, Maurice Gibb and they did just a wonderful, wonderful arrangements for him. And not all of them work. I mean, Joe and I, when we did the show, we agreed Stardust. Sorry, Ken, but Stardust didn't work for us.
Stardust.
But other than that,
My favorite song on the album.
I know.
Isn't that always the way? Isn't that always the way?
Uh,
Unfortunately.
But
I mean to dig your
Whispering
favorites.
Grass, I loved that.
Mm.
I mean,
No,
it
it's
had
not singing.
almost like a childlike kind of quality to it. Dream, that really suited Ringo very well. I thought
Mm.
Yeah,
that
that
was
fits Ringo.
yeah. And Love Is a Many Splendored Thing was a real
Yep.
surprise for me.
that the one
I
from
thought he
Temple?
handled that very well. And I found myself recommending this album to people after that show we did. And one in particular, I found myself an older, actually the wife of a former professor of mine, who after we did that show, she was asking about it, and I said, if you love this music, and you also kind of want to get to know Ringo a little bit, or this is the album for you. And it also may launch, if you're not familiar with the Great American Songbook, this is a great kind of a springboard to it. I would put this on for a dinner party. Absolutely. It's just a thoroughly charming album. I think it's very reflective of Ringo's personality in many ways.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not Sinatra. I mean, no way.
No.
But he really carries it off though with his natural charm.
He's more like Dean Martin.
Yeah, kind of like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised listening to, and I hadn't listened to the whole album before we did that show, and I'm sure glad we did. We did it. So that is my third favorite.
Well put. Okay, now my third favorite. If sorry, did I interrupt somebody?
I was just going to say that it's really funny that Ringo started his solo career in such an unusual way by having an album of standards and then an album of country music. Those were just one-offs in his career.
Mhm.
And I would give anything now for him to do another album of standards or another album of country music.
Yeah, right.
And I should add that was ahead of his. He was ahead of the curve on that, because years
Sure.
later, Rod Stewart did it. Paul did an
Yeah,
album like that.
Ringo
Linda
Starr.
Ronstadt.
Linda.
Yeah.
Harry
And-
Nilsson.
I think I heard that "Give More Love" was going to be a fully country album. I think he said a couple of songs were in that flavor, but they wound up not doing it. That's what I thought he had said. I heard him say in one of the interviews.
I think you're right.
A few
I
years
think you're
back,
right.
he did say that he was going to do another full-length country album.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the album was supposed to start off being a country album, but it didn't end up that way. So he had it in mind, at least.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to show my album now. Number 3. Look familiar? And I'm not just talking. I mean, look, I went raves about this when we did our show on this album. It's, to me, Tom said a lot of it already. It's just such a feel-good album to me. It's upbeat, up-tempo for the most part, with a couple of exceptions, I suppose. But Ringo does seem like he's having fun here. The drumming's great, the instrumentation, everybody working together on here.
yeah.
And I can't remember the last time, honestly, that there was a new album by anybody, whether it's one of the solo Beatles or anybody else, that I had to leave in my car for weeks and just play it like, a dozen times or something like that. I mean, really, I don't know what it was. At first I played it. Gotta get to learn it, know it a little bit. After a second or third time, I was hooked. But songs here like, Gotta Get Up to Get Down, just because it's crazy fun with Joe Walsh is really funny. At first I was like, what the heck is this? But my favorite song now is, the two of them. Better Days is maybe my favorite song on here, but I'm also very fond of the second track, It's Not Love That You Want. It is like so happy, upbeat, energetic. The song Magic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Great song.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It is really beautiful. And Grow Old With Me, I remember at first when I heard it, I thought that it's almost like a tribute to John, the fact that he's doing John's song. and it was probably my favorite initially. But now, the ones I mentioned kind of top that song for me. The song "Money" that we all know, the sour part of the album, arguably. I actually can enjoy it in the context of the rest of the album. I know it's coming. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to almost do like a spoof, a take of today's sound, and it's okay. It's over and done with in I think just under 3 minutes, but it fits to me and within the context of the album. I can listen to it, enjoy it, and I could just name the other ones. Thank God for Music, Life is Good, two more upbeat, up tempo songs. Yeah, I said right away. I said out of is it exactly 20 albums Ringo has, studio albums, or
It
thereabouts?
is.
Yeah, it's 20 right now. Yep.
I said, some people say, "Oh yeah, I like this." I'm just going to say because I enjoy it so much right now. It's my no. This is I said it's going to be one of my favorites. A lot of times, what happens is I think we tend to get new albums from people, and maybe we think, well, this can't be one of the top albums, can it? Yeah, is one of the older classic albums have to be in there? No, this one works for me, brand new or 70s or not. So
I felt that way recently with Egypt Station.
I knew you were going to say that, and I know Tom's thinking that. I didn't feel that with Egypt.
And New. I felt that way about
New
it.
I did.
So,
New I did, definitely.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's my number 3, and let's move it along here. Now the second album, what would we pick as number 2? This time, I'm going to go to Kit first.
Okay, well, this is an album that I've talked about, many times before, and I sound like a broken record, and I don't care. And I've said it many times that I will never understand why this wasn't a bigger hit, and that's Time Takes Time.
Mhm.
I love this album. The only reason I can figure is that he was on a small record label at the time, and I think they just didn't have enough money to promote it. Promote it properly, because I thought this was a solid, as you said, Ken, earlier when you said solid,
Hmm.
this for me was a solid album. And this was another case where he worked with some great people. I mean, this should have been, I mean, I'm not saying I would have expected this to be a #1 hit, but I
Should
mean,
have been
he was,
better.
but I mean, it should have done a lot better than it did. I mean, he was working with Don Was,
Mhm.
Peter Asher, Phil Ramone, Jeff Lynne. Okay, so you've got those producers, and then I mean, he had so many guests on here. I mean, Brian Wilson, Harry Nielsen, of course, Jeff Lynne playing on there. I mean, it went on and on. I mean, it should have been, I think, a slam dunk. You had "Weight of the World" as the
Mhm.
first single. I love that song.
It's one of his best songs.
One of
Yeah.
his best songs.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Lyrically, and he was just in great voice. Top of his game as far as I'm concerned. I mean, of
And a good
course,
video to support it.
he had a video to support it. I remember seeing it on VH1. I don't remember seeing it on MTV, but VH1 for sure.
VH1,
Mhm.
yeah.
And and then "Don't Go Where the Road Don't Go." That was a great rocker.
Excellent.
Love that. I mean, to me, I can't really think of a bad track on this album. I mean, all in the name
Blunders.
of Golden Blunders. I mean, come
Right.
on. All in the Name of Love, strong vocal there with a soaring guitar solo. After all these years, that's one of my favorites
Yeah,
as well.
Mhm.
Just a rocker.
Yeah.
A rocker. I mean, it sounds very ELO, but it's great with great Jeff Lynne guitar solo on there. Runaways, I mean, kind of a tougher rocker for Ringo.
Mhm.
I love, I mean, he sings about, children of the damned. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, Ringo singing about children of the damned. I mean, you're never going to hear him sing something like that. In a Heartbeat, I mean, Diane Warren wrote that.
Yes.
I mean, Diane Warren, one of the top hit songwriters. What Goes Around, great catchy chorus. Interesting chord changes there, a little bit Beatlesque. I mean, I just thought that was one of the best albums he ever did, and it did nothing. I
Mhm.
will never in a
Yeah, sad. I
million
also think
years.
by
Well,
that time nobody really, I hate to say it, but had much faith in Ringo because he
Hmm.
had been his albums were considered poor, getting poorer. People didn't really take him seriously. Couldn't get a record label for a long time. That's
Yeah.
what I think. In addition to it not being really promoted very heavily, I always thought it was a matter of, oh, it's Ringo. Once he didn't even hit the top 200 in Billboard in the States. Terrible.
Unbelievable.
Mm.
it's a
Unbelievable.
combination of a lot of things. There's so many reasons why records sell and why they don't sell. And it is true he was on a small label, so they didn't have the money to spend in promoting it. But I've said this a number of times. The biggest way to promote a record all these years has been through radio. And even getting VH1 airplay, if radio is not playing the record, it ain't gonna matter.
Right.
And in order to sell in heavy quantities, you've got to be able to aim the music towards a young demographic, meaning top 40 radio or even rock radio that has a young to mid-age audience. But those formats of radio, we're not going to play Ringo the same way they rarely play Paul McCartney. So you could have, in the case of Paul, a lot of his more hardcore fans going out and buying the record immediately when it comes out and it debuts high, like Flaming Pie debuted at number 3. And we all know Egypt Station debuted at number 1. But if radio doesn't play it, it's just going to drop like a
Yeah.
sinking stone.
It's not
Right.
going to have any
So, and
legs.
yeah, that's just, to me, it all comes down to radio.
Mhm.
If radio doesn't play your music, it's not going to sell and it's not going to have any legs at all. It's not going to stay on the charts. It's just going to be there very quickly and then die a quick death.
Yep. Not even 2
So
legs. Yeah.
that's true.
Well, you look at something like this is different. Bob Dylan has a new album out, Rough
Right.
and Rowdy
Right.
Ways, and I heard it's debuting at number 2 on Billboard. Right now,
I think
these
it was
days,
number 1 in UK.
UK.
oh,
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You see, and the thing is, but these days too, it's different because the amount that of sales. I think this last album of original material, Tempest, which I really liked a lot, uh, didn't do I don't think as well. But it sold more. I think I read that right. So it's a little weird, sketchy today. But my point was bringing it up. I guess in the Dylan's case, you have the hardcore, faithful audience
Mm.
supporting it, right? Because in the case of some of the songs on there, I don't think they were played on the radio. Obviously, and Dylan, the Dylan song. I mean, there was you got it on social media. They dropped on social media, "Murder Most Foul,"
Uh-huh.
that song,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Well, with
"I
someone like
Contain
Dylan, I mean,
Multitudes."
he's got a bigger legacy to. I mean, he's got a career spanning, the early '60s, which I think, still holds up today. I mean, I think I think he's got a bigger fan base than Ringo would, even with the Beatles connection.
Oh, sure. But
Yeah.
again, see how long it stays on the charts.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
Oh
true.
no, I don't. I don't. We're happy just to see them get to these days.
Yeah.
Anything like that, get up to it. But it's interesting because some of the albums by Ringo that were considered the flops, say in the '70s or whatnot,
Mhm.
whether it's Rotogravure or Ringo the
Ringo the
Fourth, he
Fourth.
probably sold more physical copies than
Right.
these did.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't do as well in the charts.
But
Yeah.
see, Dylan was smart. I was thinking about that though when you talked about him dropping the Murder Most Foul. So that was really smart because that built up, some interest, and then of
Mhm.
course he drops
Right.
the album. So that was some smart marketing too. I mean, I hate to put it so clinically, but
Mhm.
it's true. I mean, that built up some interest in him because he had been away for a while too, and so that built up interest in Rough and Rowdy Ways, and so he knows he has to market himself differently now.
Hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
Whatever it takes.
Yep, that's
know?
right.
That's what it takes.
That's what it takes. Yep.
That's right.
And let's move along to I think we're up to Tom now.
Okay.
What's your number 2 choice for Ringo's favorite?
My number 2, I've been listening to a lot of country music lately. Buku's the Blues has been in a constant rotation for probably the last 2 years, since I've been listening to a lot of country, but not necessarily more or less the country of the 70s and the early 80s. That's the stuff that I really enjoy, and that's the period, I should say. And this is no exception. I mean, this just fits into that genre of country that I particularly like to listen to. I like the story of him picking up Peter Drake to play on, All Things Must Pass, and then discovering all of the the country music that he had in his car, and that kind of gave him the go ahead to maybe do a country album. I like the fact that all of these are new songs written for Ringo. And again, the musicianship on this record is terrific. If you don't know Peter Drake, I played on so many wonderful records. I recommend you guys checking out the name Peter Drake and seeing a lot of the music that he's played on. Some names you might be familiar with that played on this album: Charlie Daniels is on here, and Mr. When You're Hot, You're Hot. Jerry Reed is on here as well. So, but some of the songs on here that I definitely recommend: $15 Draw, Wine Woman, and Loud Happy Songs. I love the bonus track Coochie Coochie, which has always been one of my favorites. Fastest Growing Heartache in the West. A lot of it. Loser's Lounge is probably my favorite song on the album because it's so Ringo. Good comedic bit. Buku's the Blues, good song. So yeah, just a lot of great musicians, a lot of great songs, and again, we talk about how his voice just fits country music, and this is just the perfect album in my sense for Ringo to sing.
Aren't the Jordanaires on there too? Elvis
Jordanaire
title track.
Yeah,
on the title track. Yep.
Buku's the Blues. Yeah, so
I love anything with the Jordanaires.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Jordanaires, right?
I mean, Buku's the Blues is not a favorite Ringo album of mine, but it's really gaining a lot of ground. You know how over time there are certain albums that get more legs and people start talking about it. Well, this is really a good album. That's happening a lot here with Buku's the Blues in the circle of the
Definitely.
Okay, so thank you, Tom. Now, Ken, what's your choice for number 2 if you can pick one?
I'm going to, this is easy. The top 2 are easy.
Oh,
Number 2 is also what Kit picked, and that's Time Takes Time. Again, 10 songs, perfect songs. I get the feeling that Ringo was handed all these songs and he picked the 10 best of them all. These are just choice cuts, carefully selected. And there were other songs recorded during those sessions that we know about, including Angel in Disguise, which the demo was just auctioned off. Don't Be Cruel, the version of the Elvis Presley song with Jeff Lynne on it.
Was Everyone Wins? I was going to mention Everyone Wins. I like that one a lot, that song.
It's very good. He wrote that with Johnny Warman, who also he wrote Don't Go Where the Road Don't Go with.
Yeah, this is the Japanese version that has Don't Be Cruel on it, actually.
Oh, okay.
Okay, very good.
Send that to me, Tom.
There's also a song called Call Me that never got released. That was during the Jeff Lynne sessions, and Tom Petty's on it, and that's never come out. And there was a song from the Phil Ramone sessions that didn't get released. I forget the name of that. But the one thing that I like most, other than the fact that the songs are so strong, is that you have these 4 different producers, and with the exception of Jeff Lynne, I can't tell a Don Was production from a Phil Ramone production, from a Peter Asher production. They all sound consistently the same. And, like I said, the songs are really strong. You mentioned In a Heartbeat. My God, that's in my top 5 of Ringo songs of all time. It is so 60s-ish. It is so Beach Boys-ish. It sounds like, Don't Worry Baby, kind of a more modernized. And like you said, Diane Warren, one of the top songwriters of the 80s and 90s, could be the biggest female songwriter of that time, wrote so many hit records. And that song would have been a hit if it had followed, Goodnight Vienna, that album, if it came out in 1975 or 1976, just like Weight of the World would have been a big hit. I'm convinced, but song per song, you can't lose with any song that's on Time Takes Time. 1 through 10, they're all fine. I like the fact that he did a song like Runaways, which is different, a serious subject about children running away from their homes, you
Mhm.
know. And What Goes Around is a great album closer. You know, any of these songs are well constructed, have great hooks. You know, this is what I wish Ringo had followed Goodnight Vienna with. Not that I don't love the other albums of the 70s, the later albums, Rhoda Gavure, Ringo the Fourth, Bad Boy. But if Time
Right.
Takes Time was the follow-up to Goodnight Vienna, you know, he would have been on a string of really strong albums in a row. And no, Time Takes Time is another one that I call solid.
Mm.
All the songs. Golden Blunders, you know, that's a Posey song that was covered by Ringo. I don't know how that was chosen, if Peter Asher, who produced it, picked that song for him, but really works for Ringo.
I think he sings
Yeah.
it wonderfully. It's a good cover from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like-
He's got
a good
members
form
of
on that.
Jellyfish on the album, on Weight of the World, and I Don't Believe You, and they wrote the song. The two guys from Jellyfish, who were
Yeah.
pretty hot at the time in
Yes.
the you know, the Beatles circle, you know. So yeah, it's really just a great album all the way through, and I can't recommend Time Takes Time enough to people.
Mm.
Number two, without a doubt.
I might have to start taking you up on it, listen to it more because I really hadn't really reckoned it that much. I'm gonna pick my number 2 album right here. Okay, come on. And luckily, the good thing, you know, I always say it's bad to go last when you're moderating because you don't get a chance to. But in this case, you saved me all the trouble. Both of you, I don't have to say a thing. And we've all said it. And every time I'm doing a video or something, I'm speaking about Ringo or do a live chat, and someone says, "Well, you know, or ask me what's the best stuff to get into for Ringo if I'm going to just start." I always recommend this album.
Mhm.
You know, because it's just for all the reasons we said. It's number 2. It's just my second favorite Ringo album. I think it's really
I like the cover. I'll just gaze at the cover from time to time.
It's cool.
You know,
Time
it's
Takes
far
Time.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. So enough said. We could move on, right?
Fist
Yep.
bumping both of you.
All right. So now we're down to number 1, and I would be very surprised if. Well, Ken might surprise me a little. Well, maybe not. But let's see what happens here. I'm going to go with you know. Let me start. Let me start with Tom this time. What's your
Sure.
number 1 choice for your favorite Ringo album, Tom?
The Christmas postcards
That could work.
All right? Nobody better show Old Wave. I don't want to see Old Wave in here. I'm telling you.
Nothing wrong with that album.
Like,
Well, you
Cover's
know,
good.
it's really it's really hard to take away from this record.
I mean, look at that one. Is that a good one?
If you listen to it about 50, 30, 50, 60 times, it'll grow on you. But just the Beatle connection, everybody else that's on this record, a lot of his friends, from members of the band, to members of the Beatles, and just you got Keltner, and you got Klaus. I mean, Klaus. Just so many wonderful musicians on here, and again, it's all about the songs, and every song on here is perfect.
Great
and
material to go with the talent.
Yeah, you got great. Yeah, the songs flow wonderfully on this album. I mean, they're positioned great, and it's just it kicks ass. I mean, it really does.
That's all you got. That's all you got to say. That's it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, really. I mean, the singing is fantastic, and the musicianship is fantastic. Everything works on this album, and maybe it's a good thing that he put out a couple, pop rock singles first, kind of eased into the album, and then the timing was just right for everybody to come together to help Ringo, if you will, put out a masterpiece, because this really is a masterpiece.
2 number 1 tracks on it.
Yeah, exactly. For the only Beatle to accomplish that. I mean, I think Paul got close with Speed of Sound with Let 'Em In coming in at number 3,
Right.
and then Silly Love Songs coming in at number 1, and I think that's
I never considered that. I never considered that.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
the only album to have 2
Yeah.
number 1s.
Wow.
2 number 1s. So good point there, Joe. But yeah, it's just It's been talked about. We've talked about it before too, and it's it's perfect.
Okay, let's moving right along here. How about you, Kit? What's your number one choice?
Well, I'm sure this will come as no surprise that it's Ringo the Fourth. No, I'm just kidding. It's no, it's not that. We did our another
I like
listen
Ringo the Fourth.
on
Yeah.
that, and there it has its
It's
moment.
a,
No, I'm sure it'll come as no surprise. Yes, it's Ringo. It's that is a just a classic album, and to pick up on something you said, Tom. Not only just a group of just well, just to echo you again, Ken, solid songs. But I mean, even just the placement of them is just perfect. I mean, just start out with "I'm the greatest."
Yeah.
I mean, it even reflects. Tom, could you hold up the cover? I mean, look at that's even a stage. I mean, you
Right.
see the curtains there and everything. I mean, I'm the greatest. I mean, Ringo entering the stage and introducing himself and his persona of
Right.
kind of wink wink that I'm the greatest, referring to his Beatles past, but in kind of a funny way, so he introduces that and I mean, it's Ringo as an entertainer, and it
Exactly.
just and it continues like that through the
Right.
whole album, and then to finish it off with "You and Me, Babe." I mean,
Right.
that's
When he
that's
ends that.
his,
Right.
that's his ending number. He's tipping the hat and walking off the stage. It's just perfect. I
Yeah.
mean, it's an absolutely perfectly
Right.
yes.
sequenced
Right.
album.
And then you got the
The
the genres too that he's just good at. I mean, you got the country flair, and you got something like "Oh My" 6 o'clock, which he's just perfect at doing.
Exactly, and
Oh,
and Sunshine Life for me is one of
Right.
my favorites as
yep.
well. That's on my summer playlist, and it's just and of course you have some pretty good backing musicians. The band. I mean
Yeah.
that's pretty good. And I mean it's just one after another. I mean, oh my! I mean you got Billy
yeah, that's
Preston
real
on
fun.
doing that incredible piano part.
Hmm.
There just isn't a bad track on here, and these all the songwriters just know how to write for Ringo's voice and
Right.
know how to make him shine. Just know how to play to his strengths, and this is just the ultimate example of that. As you said, Tom, a masterpiece.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we got to
And
give props to Richard Perry too. The
Indeed.
producer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say I say this mostly for the benefit of the more casual solo fans. It's the closest thing to a Beatles reunion, really,
Mm-hmm.
on record,
Yes.
really, with this. Not for me so much because I'm into the solo music, too. But for those that say, "Well, should I try this out?" Well, like we were saying with "Time Takes Time," or was it "Time Takes Time"? We said sounds Beatley, or was it something else?
Oh, Vertical
Oh
Man,
no,
the Mark Hudson stuff.
Vertical Man. But I also would say I've often said it sounds Beatley too with jellyfish and stuff on
Mm-hmm.
Time Takes Time. But yeah, stuff where you talk about Mark Hudson, A Weight of the World, or anything like that off Time Takes Time. You can also get the Beatle injection if you want,
Hmm.
from the Ringo album. All right.
Yeah.
So okay, now who's next? Let's see.
That's the Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good one.
Hmm.
Okay, so what do you think, Ken?
Ditto.
And that's all to be
Really.
said. Right?
No, really, the Ringo album is a classic for all the reasons that you've said. I wanted, when you were talking about "You and Me, Babe," I would give anything for Ringo to close a concert with that song.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
I
Right.
mean, to walk off on stage, maybe, waving to people, or he has a hat and he's going like this.
Yep.
That's so
yeah, no.
perfect for any concert. He probably doesn't think in those terms at all. But there's a lot of magic on this album when he's working with another Beatle, and there's a lot of magic when the Beatles are not involved at all. And that's why this album works. I mean, George Harrison is on 4 songs on this album, and as far as I'm concerned, and we could all debate this, and we'll probably do a show on this, I really think Photograph is possibly the greatest single from any of the solo Beatles. It's
Wow.
not just a great song, it was produced so extremely well.
Mhm.
And as I've said, it does have like a Phil Spector feel
Yeah,
to it, but
does.
Jack Nitch, who is one of the engineers on the album, who he worked with Phil Spector, so maybe that had something to do with it. But the whole arrangement of Photograph it really is a masterpiece of the song, you know. And yeah, I love I'm the Greatest. It's a great opening song. Think about Have You Seen My Baby? It was written
Mhm.
by Randy Newman.
Randy
A great follow-up, like we were talking about the sequencing and all. You're 16. What a great cover of that song.
Mhm.
Oh My is a song that had no Beatle involvement, and Ringo co-wrote it with Vinnie Poncia. And look at how well that did as a single. Went to #5. It's a great song, produced extremely well. 6 o'clock. You know, it's
Oh, yeah.
next to Photograph, probably my favorite Ringo song. And you know, the other Beatles knew how to write for Ringo, and melodically, it just fits Ringo's style. The whole arrangement of it, the keyboard solo in the middle is just so perfect. It's a warm, tender song, and Ringo delivers it, and that's a perfect song right there. A
Hmm.
lot of people in all my years of radio have requested Devil Woman as a song because it's a really good rocker from Ringo.
Yeah.
Step Lightly is more like dance hall, kind of something you'd expect Paul to write, and
Yeah.
Ringo wrote that. So, you know, all the songs are really great. You also have to give a little bit of credit to, well, a lot of credit to Klaus Foreman for the
Oh
artwork
yeah.
Yes.
on this
Yep.
album. That front cover, which to me is more Sergeant Pepper-ish. That's what it
Yeah.
reminds me of. And
Yeah.
then the whole booklet of all those illustrations, which
Oh,
are a
absolutely.
real treat.
Yeah.
In fact,
They
our
all,
good friend Tom Brennan said in the Facebook comments that Ringo was Ringo's Sergeant Pepper.
Yeah.
So you kind of read his mind on that.
yeah. So, you know, pardon the pun, but the stars were aligned just right at that time. You know, the Beatles were great with Ringo. The songs that the other Beatles were not on were great songs on the Ringo album. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the Greatest. All
Yep.
the illustrations from Klaus tell a story.
Yep.
You know, it
Wonderful.
fits what the storyline is of each song. And, you know, it's worth it just to get Ringo on vinyl, just to get a bigger booklet of the illustrations of Klaus Foreman. So yeah, it's you can't argue with the Ringo album at all.
And for what it's worth, Ringo considers this in a way his first album, right? Because he counts
No,
after
no.
that. He counts. He does. Ringo the Fourth. You know, he does that.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't do
No.
that, but that's what Ringo
Yeah.
does.
Okay. It's his third.
Yep.
Anyway, I make it
Yeah.
unanimous.
Unanimous.
I'm shocked.
I'm not going to say a word about it. You know, everything is covered. You know, so everybody said it so eloquently, and I love it. This case going last because it saves a lot of breath. But I was hoping that maybe for really quickly we could quickly show, not necessarily get into all the details because it'll take forever, maybe.
Yeah.
But just real quick, I'm going to start this one with 2 other albums. Make it 5 if we can that we like. So I like a lot of them. I like just almost all of them, just about. But if I was going to pick 4 and 5, I don't know what order these would go in, but you know, Goodnight Vienna,
Mhm.
and I like Stop and Smell the Roses.
Oh, yeah.
I like
These
some
are-
tracks on that. Yeah.
These are two, but then I'm thinking, but you know, I like Why Not, and I like Bad Boy, and I like Vertical Man, and it goes on and on. So, but what can I say? This is the follow up, really, to the Ringo album. Strong stuff here, Snookeroo with you know, Elton John. I'm trying to look here. Of course, Goodnight Vienna, written by John. Only You, the arrangement that
Yeah.
John suggested for Ringo. And there's other fun stuff on here. I don't think it's as anywhere as good as the Ringo album, but it still was a respectable follow up.
Yep.
And
Ooh-wee is a tremendous track.
ooh, yeah,
With Dr. John on the keyboard solo in the
Dr.
middle.
John, ooh,
Yeah.
all by myself. And what can I say? But this gets a bad rap. I just think it's fun. I even like the song "Stop and Take the Time to Smell the Roses"
Oh, I think it's cool.
because it's just a
Yeah.
complete laugh, and it's one of those songs where I remember I think Tom said Paul song "For You" really worked for him when he saw the video. If you see the video, the clowning
Mhm.
around video of "Stop and Smell the Roses" with Ringo, it's a complete lark. It's not supposed to be serious. And I just like "Private Property,"
I like that.
Paul
Yeah.
writing
Attention.
"Attention."
Yeah.
Dead Giveaway, Ron Wood, I believe, helped out with that. Um, Nice way. You know, here I am going through a whole thing that I said we weren't going to do. But I think this is a good album of friends. I
And
think
how
coming
Rack My
together.
Brain wasn't a bigger hit.
Rack My Brain.
That's
Yes,
a great
You know,
song.
that's a good example too. That's got a
Yeah.
good video too.
Does.
I think Rack My Brain should have been a bigger hit, but by then, you know, I think, you know, we always wondered. Some people were talking about doing shows like that. Like, what happened with Ringo? Like, why did it
I
start
think
going down?
we should do a show on that.
Yeah, we've talked
What-
about that.
What
Mhm.
about why did Ringo's Rotogravure? Why was that the start of
the
the
decline.
downfall? Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Your show,
is it
folks.
really that much worse than Goodnight Vienna?
Mhm.
You know, we'll talk about that in a
Yeah.
future show.
Okay, so if we can go around real quick, Ken, how about you? What
Okay.
two would you follow up?
As I mentioned before, Ringo Rama, I would definitely put on the list, and Choose Love. Again, more work with Mark Hudson, outstanding songs. If you're going into the Ringo Rama album, definitely one of my favorite Ringo songs is Missouri Loves Company instead of Misery Loves Company. And it's
Mhm.
great play on words in that song. And it's so simple melodically, and it just works for him. You know, the hooks are all there. Instant Amnesia, what a killer track.
Yeah.
And
Like it.
he goes wacky on the drums on that in a way that you're not used to hearing from Ringo. And he does, it's like a solo on that song.
But Imagine
Yeah.
Me There. That's on one of
Imagine
those
Me There
albums.
is it's on that album.
Yeah.
And that's a really pretty song from him. I think Therefore I Rock and Roll is great. The tribute to George, Never
George,
Without
Never
You.
Without You.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Nice guitar work from Eric Clapton on there. Elizabeth Reigns is one of my favorite songs from Ringo's solo career. It's, you know, all throughout, great songs. Like I said, these are people who are expert craftsmen. Mark Hudson, Steve Dudas, Gary Burr.
Right.
They know how to deliver for Ringo. And then for Choose Love, so many great songs. I mean, Fading In, Fading Out is a great opening number. Give Me Back the Beat.
Yes.
I love Don't Hang Up with Chrissy Hine. They work
Yep,
so well
good one.
together on that one.
Yep.
Free Drinks. My God. There's a song. I always say whenever I've played Free Drinks, the great thing about that song is that you can play it on the radio. Don't say who it is. Most people wouldn't think it's Ringo.
Hmm.
His voice is kind of distorted on it. And I
Okay.
like what they did with it there, but it really has like an 80s feel to it, new wave-ish, kind of like a Blondie feel, like Atomic, you know, that
Cool.
song
Oh,
from
yeah.
Blondie. That's what it reminds me of. But there's so many great songs on here, you know, Choose Love, the title track, which has like a Taxman feel to it. All throughout, you know, like I said, solid. The work that Ringo did with Mark Hudson and the Roundheads. Kudos to the band for great songwriting on all three of those albums, Vertical Man, Ringo Rama, and
Ken,
Choose Love.
what's the version of the version you have there, the Ringo Rama album? I don't have that version.
This is the deluxe one.
That's
Oh,
the
deluxe,
DVD,
deluxe.
right?
Yes, it has a DVD in it, and it has 3 bonus tracks audio-wise.
Oh, I don't
Which
have
are
that.
okay.
Deluxe edition.
They're good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the song "Okay Ray" is really a lot of fun on there, and "Blink" is a lot of fun. Yeah, I'm into bonus tracks, whatever it takes to get them.
Yeah.
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 And there was an interview with Ringo here
Ringo
on the
Some of
DVD. Yep.
some of them have that. Choose Love, I think, has a DVD.
No,
Okay, Kit, how about you? Or something does. I don't know. Ringo Rama. I get them mixed up. They're all samey. I said that, right? They're all like the same.
Oh man.
How about you, Kit?
Yeah, well, the two that my runners up, this will be quick because they've already been discussed. My number 4 is Boku Blues. I too like, you know, I love when Ringo does country, because he's just, you know, he loves it so much. So you know, it's just always a joy to hear him do it because you know, you can just hear how much he enjoys it, and as you mentioned, Tom, you know, hearing Peter Drake
Peter Drake. Yeah.
perform with him, and and I love Coochie Coochie too. That's a great
It's a
track.
good,
And there's just some great to hear. $15 Draw I love as
A lot of
well.
fun.
Silent Homecoming, Without Her, just some great tracks and wonderful players on there too to back him up. So I enjoy that as well. And number 5, What's My Name? As I mentioned before, he just sounds so like reinvigorated on this album. As I said, it's just a shame that we couldn't hear him play these songs live this year. Hopefully next year, when I hope everything's back to normal and he may be back on the road, I would love to hear him play so many of these songs live. I think they're just tailor made for it. In addition to the title track, I mean, there are just so many that I think would just be naturals, because they're just so like upbeat and just rocking, that I would love to hear it. And as I mentioned earlier, it was just such a great surprise, because you were hearing, this may be his last album, and so you just didn't know what to expect. Plus, Grow Old With Me was the first track that was leaked, and that was so kind of controversial, and people were kind of divided over that. And I mean, remember that? I mean, that was and then when the album came out, I mean, I just thought it was just such a wonderful surprise. He just sounded better than ever. So that's my number 5. So.
Okay, thanks. And Tom, that leaves you.
Yeah, well, the number 4, I mean, you guys all did a great job talking about Time Takes Time. Another near perfect album, for Ringo, for me. The other one that I still enjoy this one, even though I don't like the title track, because I think it's just lazy. But it's what is it? It's Postcards from Paradise. I think there's some really good songs on here, some strong songs on here as well, including Rory and the Hurricanes. Just love that song. I love the backing vocals on the song.
Yeah.
The song really excites me when I hear it. You Bring the Party Down, Bridges, Right Side of the Road, and Island in the Sun, Touch and Go. Just nice upbeat poppy songs, and I think this is one of his more fun albums. If you want just to have something a little upbeat in the background, this is I think a good album to listen to. So
I would like to say, I don't know if I should end the show with this, but the song "Postcards from Paradise," I like that he does that. Usually, I had been one of the people getting sick and tired for a long time of Ringo name checking songs. And I hate to say the end of the show to bring this up, but the song "Choose Love," I'm not a big fan of. I think that's kind of lazy. I heard it on, of all things, Sirius XM Beatles channel. I'm glad they played it, but I'm listening to it. I'm like, the long and winding road is more than a song. You gotta pay your dues if you want to sing the blues. It's like now he does that in a lot of songs. We could name a lot of songs where he did that, but for some reason on the song "Postcards from Paradise," I think it doesn't bother me as much because I think that's supposed to be that one is like, that's a tour de force. Let's just get it all out on this one song. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just gonna go for it here. Just almost spoof.
Well, he went for it all right.
Kind of like tongue in cheek, whereas the other ones are more like I don't know. They seem more lazy to me. I don't know why. The word "lazy," when you said that, made me. That's how I felt about "Choose Love," and I didn't want to say that when Ken brought it up because I didn't want to go there. But this time I said, "Yeah, I'm going to."
I agree with you on a lot of what you said. I don't like when Ringo name checks too much. I think he overdoes it at times. But still, "Choose Love" is a kick-ass song. Just the whole arrangement of it and the melody of it. And how the band plays along with it. But yeah, "Postcards from Paradise," it's so clever to use all those song titles, have them rhyme, have it all flow. It even put "Bad to Me" in there. And give some credit to Todd Rundgren on that because he co-wrote that with Ringo.
And I thought it was so cool, back to Time Takes Time, when I first heard the song "Don't Go Where the Road Don't Go," when he sings that verse where he says, "Well, I said it don't come easy," and I'm thinking, oh, it's so cool that he's referencing that song. Oh, it's great. And then every other song, it's just doing that. I can't remember the other one. There's another one.
There's a couple other ones in there.
Eye to Eye.
Yeah.
He does it in there.
That's
Yeah. There's a few.
I know you will believe me when I say it don't come easy. I'm laughing.
He must be very proud of that line.
Well, anyway, let's end it on a laugh. So
We love you,
when we're-
Ringo.
love a piece of love. Listen, Kit, why don't you tell everybody how to get how to get in touch with us, and if you
Absolutely.
like to do
You
that.
can reach us, of course, on our Facebook page. You can also find us on Twitter at Talk More Talk 1. You can email us at talkmoresolotalk@gmail.com. If you want to send us ideas, things you'd like to see on future shows, we are open to that. We've gotten some great ideas in the past from all of you. So we love to hear feedback. We love to hear ideas. And of course, we are on YouTube. So check out our YouTube channel. And we are on virtually any podcasting platform you can possibly think of. iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, you name it. And please spread the word about us to all of your friends, your family, and let them know that we are virtually everywhere. We are you can listen on while you're working out, while you're taking the bus. Well, I guess you're not doing that so much these days, but in the future, in your car, wherever.
If you're going where the road don't go, wherever.
There you go. There. I see what you did there, Tom.
If you bribe
And
with us,
so-
Yeah.
us a bribe.
That's
Anyway,
right. So
we'll do it.
yeah, right. So yes, you can find us many places. So we love hearing from you, and we, as always, thank you for all your support.
Yes, and of course we're all involved in different things. Me, for example, Joe Mayo, aka Mean Mr. Mayo, on my YouTube channel. The name, just go over there, subscribe to Mean Mr. Mayo, and I would appreciate it. And you can see all kinds of fun stuff over there, Beatles and other stuff. And let's go around. And how about you, Tom?
Oh, thank you, Joe. Yeah, and nice Beatles finds video earlier today.
Yeah,
Good job.
thank you.
So Two Legs. Well, we just dropped our latest episode. It's a fun episode. We play a game called Remove 3, Add 3. That's where we take the standard edition of Egypt Station. We remove 3 tracks from that. We add 3 tracks from the bonus songs that he gave us throughout that following year. So that's out. We had my friendly little friend from the UK. His name's Sam as well. He's on another Paul podcast called Paul or Nothing. He joined us. My old co-host David Gargalino joined us, which was a great fun to have him on video finally after 4 years. And the man who's responsible for our theme music, Dylan Seavey, he joined us for that. Coming up next week, or actually later this week, we just did an episode with the Club Sandwich creator Facebook page. And we did a whole episode on the Club Sandwich, and very informative gentleman. His name is Dale Pants, and he just has so much knowledge about the Club Sandwich fanzine, and I really can't wait for everybody to check that out. So that'll come later this week. We're on YouTube, Two Legs Podcast. So if you, like I said, if you like what you see here, we also do the same thing with Two Legs. So you can go ahead and check that out and subscribe to that if you don't mind. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Two Legs Podcast. So once again, thank you everybody for checking us out.
Okay, by the way, is Ethan out there?
Oh,
Ethan Alexanian?
Our buddy.
I'll bet he's watching.
I know he likes to hear his name. Well, I also forgot to mention that I
He likes to
recorded.
make sure that we all pronounce his name correctly.
Yeah,
That's what he likes
I'm
to
getting
do.
to know it. I'm doing it well. I recorded an episode of Fans on the Run with him, as I know everybody I think
Yep.
has been on the
Yep, all of us.
show.
Yep.
And you can check that out too when it's up. It's not up yet, but everybody else's is. I watched all 3 of you in a marathon on that show.
Wow.
Or heard, I should say, watched, or listened to. I gotta get it right, Okay, so Kit, you didn't really give your latest adventures.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Well, I'm slowly getting back to writing. I have a review up at Cinema Sentries of Dave Morell's new book. Many of you may know him. He's a lot of fun. He has a the 4th book out in his Dave Morrell Archive series. And you can check out my review over at Cinema Centuries. You can also find me. I was on a really fun show hosted by a gentleman that goes by the name of Plastic EP. He's from Australia.
I've heard all about him.
Yep, absolutely. Many of you may know him already. And that's up on his Facebook page. And I think I'm doing another episode with him this week. We're still kind of working out timing there. I'm also recording an episode with Sam Wiles on Thursday. We're going to be talking about Give My Regards to Broad Street. So this ought to be interesting. So that'll be up soon. I also did an episode recently with Bob and Warren over at Tomorrow Never Knows, where I interviewed Ivor Davis, which was a lot of fun. We just
Nice.
had a fun conversation about the Let It Be documentary, kind of talking about what we'd like to see in it, and talking about sort of John and Paul in the 1970s. And it was great to talk to Ivor about that because he actually knew them. So it was really...
So basically what Kit is saying is that if you have a podcast and if you haven't had Kit on it yet, you don't have a podcast.
Damn straight. Damn straight. That's right. You got to have the queen on,
Don't
right?
mince words.
If you want credibility,
Yeah.
Right.
you gotta have Kid on.
Exactly. You can't. Yeah, you're not official podcast until you have me on.
Yeah.
That's I guess that's the way it goes. So yeah, a lot of stuff coming up. You of course can find me on Facebook at Kid O'Toole's Keynotes, or just find me under Kid O'Toole at my personal page, and you can follow all the stuff that I'm doing there.
Okay, thank you. And Kenneth Michaels.
Kenneth.
Tell us, Sarah, tell us
Sir
your
Kenneth.
All right, Joseph.
recent experience.
By the way, since you mentioned Dave Morrell, this is his new book
Yes.
called Run Out Groove. I'm working on getting an interview with him for myself and also on things we said today. So that should be happening in the next few weeks. Dave, by the way, helped me out early in my career in getting my show on WDHA in New Jersey. He recommended that I send a tape to them. So he's a big part of my life. And I'm very
Wow.
grateful for him
Great
helping me get, my first really big break in radio. And by the way, you mentioned Club Sandwich. Did I say on this show that I was included in Club Sandwich in one issue?
No kidding.
Yeah, back when Paul was celebrating his 50th birthday on WDHA, I did a countdown of my listeners' 50 favorite McCartney songs of all time. And that list was put into the magazine, the
Excellent.
newspaper, with my name in there in WDHA, which was really, really nice. So,
Excellent.
yeah, that's one
You
of the
have that
great
copy?
honors. I
You
sure
have
do.
that co-
Several of
Excellent.
them. Several of them. Before I give some information about what I'm doing, I want to send a big shout out to one of our viewers on YouTube, Topaz the Cat. The reason I'm bringing up his name or her name, I've heard it's a she, is because on our last show when we were talking about the John Lennon acoustic album, she wrote in with links to all these articles talking about John as a guitar player, and Eric Clapton saying how much he thought highly of John as a guitar player. And even there's a link, and you should all check this out if you're interested on YouTube. There's a guitar player named Mike Pichelli who shows you all the lead guitar work that John did. He plays it himself on Beatle records. So you get to witness him playing what John played on You Can't Do That and Honey Pie and Get Back. It's really cool. His name is Mike Pichelli, Pachelli. And it's all on John's lead guitar playing. So thank you, Topaz the Cat, for all that information. Just go to our YouTube page and then check out the last show and look at his post, and you'll see all those links. As far as podcast shows that I'm going to be on, some of the same ones we mentioned, Ethan Alexanian, I'm on one of his shows. We've all invaded his show, including Ken Womack, who couldn't be with us tonight, but all of us, all five of us, are on Ethan's show. He is the hip and happening guy in the Beatle world. He is. He's your symbol.
He stole my idea 20 years later. If I only had YouTube when I was 16, 17 years old. I was doing the same damn thing.
Okay, I'm also on Tomorrow Never Knows with Warren Brown and Bob Wilson, and Kit joined me for that. It was a look back at my career a bit and celebrating my 2000 shows on the radio. It was like a This Is Your Life approach, which they sprang on me. I had no idea they were going to do this,
It was
and
fun.
some very special people appeared as guests. So that's on the Tomorrow Never Knows podcast. I am also on Plastic EP. He interviewed me at midnight. So you get to see what I look like even later than now, which could be frightening. And it's
You look
a
fabulous.
30-minute interview, and he's a lot of fun. And I
Yes.
will also be on, they already recorded Sam Wiles, his show, Paul or Nothing, discussing flowers in the dirt. That'll be coming up very soon. So yeah, I'm on all those podcast shows. As far as my syndicated Beatles show, Every Little Thing, there's a new show premiering this week in which I feature songs that Ringo covered throughout his career, Beatles and solo. If you want a list of all the radio stations that carry the show, it's on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com, my Every Little Thing page. It tells you the station, the times, links to the websites if you want to listen that way. Also, things we said today. Last week, we did an interview with Chip Madinger, who is the co-author of 8 Arms to Hold You. Thank you, Tom. And that was great. I've also interviewed Chip with Mark Easter and myself. That's on my website, kenmichaelsradio.com. We should probably get those two guys on this show. I know they want to be on it.
Oh yeah, they're ready to go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good job with Chip.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
enjoyed the interview.
He's a wealth of knowledge, just
Yep,
what he knows
sure
off the
is.
top of his head. And so, yeah, he was on Things We Said Today. We're recording a show tomorrow so we can have a show out for Ringo's birthday, and we're going to talk about our favorite solo Ringo songs.
What?
Yes.
Songs.
I couldn't copy what we're doing here, so we had to go the song route. So that'll be coming out Thursday or
Is your number 3 pick also 3 different choices?
no, not at all. They all earned their positions. Okay. On my website, like I showed before, I do have now That'll Be the Day and Go Go Mania, these brand new,
Awesome.
available on DVD or Blu-ray. You have a choice with my Beatles trivia page. Also, Lania Stagg, who's been putting out a number of books, culinary books, applying it to rock stars and their names. She put out a book on the Beatles. So, if you want Love Me Too, the recipe for that, I know you're thinking about that, aren't you, Kit? Or the Helter Skelter Skillet, it's all right here in the book. You can win that on my website.
No, those are fun
Beatles.
books. They are.
Okay, trivia is going up later tonight. And you could also win the Chip Madinger Mark Easter book, the brand new ebook version of 8 Arms to Hold You. And I think that covers just about everything.
Okay, and then how do we sign off here? I say, the usual thing. Okay, everybody, we're out of here. Bye. No, you know the story. This is Joe Mayo for Kiddo 2, Tom Magnani, Ken Michaels, saying peace and love.
Happy
Peace and
birthday.
love.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Ringo.
Ringo.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
80th.
Ringo. Your inspiration.